I think Denzel Mims is going to be a lot worse than people think he will be. People are bringing up like Denzel Mims being like a top 15 wide receiver next year, and I'm like, out of what? Like where is this coming? Like,
Bladen, where are you finding these people? I've never.
Where is this James? Where are these James Robinson hype?
Are you
Where message boards are you looking at where people think Denzel Mims and James Robinson are like the cream of the crop players?
Remember when we were talking about Zach Wilson and how we don't think he's really going to be all that great in the NFL? And people were like, well, he has Denzel Mims. And I'm like, is Denzel Mims a number one wide receiver?
He will be soon, man. Trust.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Bladen Kirk, and as always, I'm joined by the two greatest co-hosts of all time in Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. How are you guys today?
I'm always great. I'm always good.
I called you the greatest co-host of all time, and you say you're always great.
I'm always great. That's why.
It's always great. That's why. And just a reminder that we are on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. So whatever you can do, whether it be subscribe, rate, review, comment, etc., we always appreciate it. And make sure to give a follow to @StayHotPod on TikTok so we can deliver some great content to you guys there as well. And make sure you check out Theo's newest Stay Hot shot about Jameis Winston and whether or not he should be the QB of the New Orleans Saints. I already watched it. It's absolutely fire. And if you have any ideas for what you'd like us to review on Stay Hot Shots, you can leave us a comment on YouTube or you can email us at stayhotpod@gmail.com. Speaking of YouTube, our main man Light in the YouTube comment section said Theo should grow a beard. What do you think about that? Can you grow a beard, like a full beard?
No, I can't grow a full beard. There's a little triangle in between the corner of my mouth, my chin, and my sideburns that does not grow, so it doesn't all connect. Now, I do have old videos where I haven't shaved in a while, and I have like a little stubble, and it kind of looks like a beard, but I'm not going to be able to grow a full beard here, unfortunately, because I think I'd look super hot with a beard.
Yeah, I have the exact same problem. I was recently on vacation, so I figured, why not grow it out? Because I just turned 20, so I figure I'll see what I got. And I've got this like spot. I have this spot under my chin that just doesn't grow for some reason. And then this side of my face is not as strong as this side. So it's blonde, kind of, in some spots. So it's not too bad, but it's a little weird. So I figure I'm better off with the clean shaven look for now.
Just watch it. You look exactly like Bo Burnham. That was my whole I was trying to. That's your lookalike is like young Bo Burnham, and now he's got the whole like beard going, and you'd probably look like that because
give me a little bit of time, maybe I can get that type of beard. I've had a stranger, come up to me in public and tell me I look like him.
That's actually
you do.
Cool.
You look just like him.
I never really thought about it, but I always thought you looked a little bit like Young Gravy, but Bo Burnham might be a little bit of a nicer comparison. I personally
Young Gordon Hayward too.
Young Gordon Hayward. I personally don't think I can grow much of a beard either. I guess we're all limited in that realm. I do every once in a while grow a decent goatee, but I only do it when I grow my hair out because otherwise it like the whole point of like me getting a haircut, I then shave and I have like this perfect clean look. And otherwise, it doesn't really fit.
Bladen, you know what you would look good with?
What?
An earring. A gold earring. I think you could pull off an earring. Yes, you could pull off an earring.
Is this because I posted the Instagram post with like the gold chain? Is that why?
I don't think so, but I think you could pull off some like some bling in your ear. I think it's
good.
Know.
I don't think I could do an earring. Mostly because I'm terrified of needles and like I would hate. Yeah. So I don't even think I could get my ear pierced. So.
All right. You would rock it though.
I'll take your word for it. Maybe I'll Photoshop it, see how it looks. but aside from that, let's hop into the NBA Finals because Game 1 is down. And, by the time this comes out, Game 2 will already be done. But they had Giannis playing, and I think Matt can agree with me. I don't think he looked 100%, but I believe you thought he looked pretty good.
No, Giannis.
Giannis looked like he was moving fine to me. He looks like Giannis to my eyes when he was.
I don't think he looked nearly as aggressive.
Maybe not. But
no, he wasn't.
I thought that he was.
He definitely
was moving pretty good. And after the game, he said, "I felt 100%." Like I thought that he looked like he was moving to the point where everyone is going to be like, if the Suns win, everyone is going to be like, Giannis wasn't 100%. But like he was moving fine. And same with LeBron. Honestly, in the first series, like LeBron was moving pretty well in that series too. I think it's a little bit over exaggerated how hobbled they are because they were moving pretty good to my eyes.
I think he's at a point where he still can like move good. It's not so bad where all of his movement's going to be affected, but he definitely wasn't as aggressive as I'd expect him to be if he was 100% healthy. 11 shots. I don't buy that's how, like, that was their game plan with an 100% Giannis. And I don't buy that you can hyperextend your knee and then come back and immediately play finals level basketball. Like a week later? There's no way. No human on earth is doing that. But he did look pretty solid. He was still good defensively. Maybe he didn't attack as much on offense as you wanted him to. And the same thing with LeBron. He probably didn't attack as much on offense as you wanted him to. But I don't know. Hopefully he'll look better this game. If he can't be more aggressive, though, I think it's going to be a pretty big problem for them.
Yeah, I keep saying Suns in 6, but I mean, the way Theo, I think, said it best, it's either going to be Giannis is 100% and they're still not going to be good enough, or he isn't 100% and that's going to be the reason why the Suns lose. And I think the more that he plays, especially coming back so early, it's definitely going to have some sort of hindrance on their performance.
And I mean, this was kind of the way that we predicted it to go in the last podcast, maybe they rush him back and he's not 100%, or they don't gel quite right away. And maybe the Suns go up 2-0 and then maybe the Bucks start to hit a little bit more of a rhythm. They bring it to a game 6, they bring it to a game 7, and the Suns win eventually. That's still, I think, my prediction. I think game 1 is kind of in line with how that prediction predicted, I guess.
I kind of feel like the Bucks are going to get it tonight. I think they're going to win. I don't know I don't want to say that I'm doubting him, but asking Chris Paul to do what he did last night again is a pretty big ask. And there's no doubt that Phoenix definitely had a pretty friendly whistle, and maybe they will again because they're the home team or whatever. But I think if Giannis can come out and be a little bit more aggressive, and maybe Phoenix or maybe Milwaukee won't play Brook Lopez as much because defensively Phoenix is just crushing him. I think they could put together a better game than they did game 1.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Crowder had like no shots hit in the first game, and like Booker was just kind of getting whatever he wanted, and he didn't even convert all of his shots. Like he didn't shoot some crazy good percentage, but he was getting the looks he wanted kind of whenever he wanted. So again, it'll come down to Bud making good coaching adjustments, which is no sure thing. So
I'll give you that.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like Crowder can't play worse. Chris Paul is a man on a mission right now, and I don't think he played like unsustainably well.
I guess that's true.
Things are likely to creep back towards average. Crowder will probably get closer to what we expect out of Crowder. Paul probably won't drop 41 again, but I imagine he'll still have a good game. The big thing is going to be whether or not the Bucks can just not go cold, because they do that where they just go unbelievably cold for stretches of time and they go down big. And if that happens to them, they're not going to be able to win games.
Also, the Phoenix home field advantage or home court advantage, I get, it is lit. Like the Suns crowd is.
Oh yeah,
they were loud.
I remember. I don't know if.
I mean, me and Bladen were watching it together, and I think that's like the first thing I said 20 seconds into the game was like, "Wow, they're going nuts," which I guess you expect.
No, they're going crazy. I don't know if they're gonna like Giannis the counting up. Everyone's in sync. I don't know if Phoenix is losing in Phoenix. I don't know.
Are they counting?
I think maybe once they get to Milwaukee.
Are they counting a little fast?
I think
they are counting very fast.
But that's what you would know. This is what I'm thinking. 4. You would want to do that and make them rush the shot. Isn't that like?
Yeah, Giannis is definitely shooting faster.
I don't know.
I don't think it's a plan. I don't think we're coordinated enough to do that. I think we just
I don't think
count
fans
really fast.
are planning.
I think we're just excited.
Fair enough.
But Giannis is definitely shooting earlier because we're going 1, 2, 3. Like, it's really fast.
But if you're Milwaukee, you have to get to the line more. I guess I am kind of expecting Milwaukee to make some adjustments that maybe I shouldn't assume that they make. And I should expect Jay Crowder to play better, although he is really prone to going hot and cold. I like him a lot.
He is. So when he's cold, he is cold. Yeah. So we'll see.
But I don't think Game 1 changed my opinion on this series too much. But it did make me feel decent about Giannis. I still feel like he was good, even though he didn't attack enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I am a little worried to see how he plays this game because, the more miles, I guess, you put on your legs, the harder it's going to be.
That's true.
Yeah. But I'm still going to go.
There's no guarantee he gets
Suns
healthier as the season.
That's the problem. Is the more you play, the healthier or the more concerned health becomes. So I want to hop into a quick NFL segment. Well, it probably won't be quick, but basically we're going to break down the AFC. But more so, we're just going to give our takes for each division in the AFC for the 2021 season, going over a series of questions for each division, which are including which offensive player will surprise you, which defense is going to be elite, which QB will disappoint, which team will have a better record than anticipated, a worse record than anticipated, and obviously who we can predict to win the division. And then to round things out, we're going to give a way too early prediction for who's going to win the AFC. But let's start with the AFC South, consisting of course, the Titans, Colts, Texans, and Jaguars. Which offensive player do you guys think could surprise?
I'm actually going to go with Paris Campbell of the Colts, actually. I remember watching that week 1 game against Jacksonville, and Paris Campbell was actually unstoppable in that game. He just obliterated man coverage, and then he got hurt the next game. So this is off kind of a 1-game sample size, but he was a decently high draft pick for them. And man, he looked really good in the 1 game he played last year. Although Campbell is kind of not the kind of wide receiver that Wentz has thrived with. I think that's a guy that has a ton of talent and a ton of opportunity on a Colts team without a ton of receiving weapons. I think if he played a whole season last year, he would have dropped. He would have been relevant fantasy-wise. He would have been relevant. Everyone would have known who he is. I feel like he's someone who's going to come out and surprise.
I'm not the hugest Paris Campbell fan. I think he's...
Oh, Ohio State guy, isn't he?
He's an Ohio State guy.
I'm surprised, man.
I don't love every single. I have nothing against Paris Campbell. I don't want to make it sound like I have some vendetta against him or anything. I don't know. He never struck me as the guy for Ohio State. He feels like a little bit more of like a speed, stretch the field, gadget type player almost. I liked what I've seen out of Pittman for the Colts, and I really like Nico Collins for the Texans. I wonder if he can get some early snaps for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm so shocked you don't think Paris Campbell
I'm
could be
not
that
pro
guy.
every Ohio State guy, I swear to God.
I guess that's fair. I'm actually going to go the reverse direction because I don't think we have to necessarily have someone improve to surprise people. I kind of think James Robinson takes a step back this year, especially with Travis Etienne coming into the picture. I'm not saying that he's bad. I don't think he's like a bad player, but people are like expecting him to take this like big step forward, and I don't think that's necessarily a guarantee.
I don't think people are. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I
Really?
think most people are.
I think most people,
at least from the fantasy community, I think most people are like, this kills his value now that he has a first round running back.
I'm not in fantasy communities. I know you are, so maybe if you think that I have that perception wrong of people, but
I really do. I think most people know that. I don't think anybody's doubting James Robinson as a running back, but they didn't draft Travis Etienne in the first round not to run him.
Well, here was my thinking, because the Travis Etienne pick was obviously like an urban move, and at first I was thinking, okay, maybe what they do is they use Robinson as kind of their premier back, and then they use Etienne a little more in the passing game. But, I don't know what their plan is, honestly.
Don't they have Carlos Hyde as well?
They have a very...
Dude, I bet you, my prediction, Carlos Hyde will get a decent number of touches. Not a ton, but enough so where it's like, wow, they're really using him too. I bet you they use three backs.
We thinking like 100? We thinking like 100?
No, not 100, but he'll get some goal line work that'll really mess up the fantasy stuff.
Yeah, I think if anything, James Robinson is underrated right now. I think he should
really.
Make the Pro Bowl
I mean,
last year.
I've been saying I think
back.
he's a top 10 back. I think he is.
Okay, well, I don't think that anyone has these huge expectations for him with Travis Etienne there. So I don't know. I don't think he'll be underwhelming.
Okay, so maybe he just has normal expectations. No surprise.
I guess.
Moving on to the next question. Which defense do you think could be elite? I think this one might feel pretty obvious if we're dealing with the AFC South, but could be wrong.
Well, I guess the Colts. I'm certainly not
is there really any, unless you guys think Jacksonville turns it around defensively?
I think the Titans might have I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on the Titans, honestly. I think that their cornerback room is not horrible. I liked Caleb Farley. Their pass rush is not going to be worse than it was last year, I guess. I don't know. I think the Colts will probably have the best defense in that division, but I'm changing my mind on the Titans, and I have them to win it. Probably not surprisingly.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
I just don't think they're going to have an elite defense.
Yeah, that's
no, but none of these teams have an elite defense.
Well, probably not.
The Colts defense is a little bit overrated.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think it's pretty good. Maybe not like
it's pretty basic.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll give you that. It's not like
it's very vanilla, and I feel like that
helped them in 2020. It's not like the Steelers defense last year.
No, it's very vanilla. It's very worked well in 2020, I think, because it was a lot of vets and running a pretty basic scheme. And I feel like without, the in-person mini camps, like it helped to have pretty easy stuff. And I feel like they just kind of ran basic concepts very well because they've got, veteran corners and veteran linebackers and Buckner. And I think that their defense is good. I don't think it's anything special. So I don't know if any of these teams have really elite defenses.
That's a pretty accurate assessment, I'd say. Moving on to the next question. Which QB do you think will disappoint? Come on.
Wentz.
Yep.
I think Wentz is a downgrade from Philip Rivers in my eyes. I feel like people's expectations on him are, he's back with his coach. He's going to be right back to where he was in 2017. I don't think so. I think that he might be better than he was last year. He probably will be. It's hard to get worse than he was last year, but I still think people's expectations on Wentz are still too high.
I mean, yeah, I feel like with the Texans, you don't expect much. The Jaguars, I like Trevor Lawrence. And then with the Titans, I mean, a guy who has A.J. Brown and Julio Jones is probably going to do pretty good. So even though I don't think Wentz is some guarantee to come up here and be horrible, probably has the best odds of not fulfilling on promises.
It's not even that he has to fulfill on a promise. It's that there's this expectation of not only, he's back with his coach, but then it's also following the trend of creeping back towards average. And with Wentz, his volatility it makes it such a big question mark as to what's going to happen with him. But.
Yeah. And honestly, Trevor Lawrence is the other guy that I might pick here. But honestly, I know the expectations on him are that he's coming out of the draft for super high. But for this season, I have not seen like these crazy high expectations. Like I've seen people make their offensive rookie of the year picks, and like none of them have been Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. And even mine were Trey Lance. Mine was Trey Lance because I think he's in such a good situation.
I haven't seen anyone pick Trevor Lawrence to be offensive rookie of the year.
No, neither have I. So I don't think. Yeah,
that offense is far from terrible too. He might beat expectations.
Yeah,
honestly.
I feel like I probably made a mistake there by not picking Lawrence because I didn't. I kind of wanted to be not basic, but now no one is picking Trevor Lawrence to be offensive rookie of the year.
I'm going to change my answer to the first question. Trevor Lawrence is going to surprise people. That dude could probably win offensive rookie of the year.
Well, it's almost like it's not a surprise if he's good, but.
Yeah, but
people don't want to be boring. But that might really just be it.
But he's going to start week 1. Like of all the quarterbacks that got drafted in the first round, he is guaranteed to start week 1, and he's the only one that's guaranteed to start week 1. Yeah. So Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson. Almost how did I forget about Zach Wilson? There's no reason to believe that he can't win offensive rookie of the year, and no one's picked him, myself included.
So that's why my answer is Wentz and not Lawrence, is because I feel like Wentz somehow has higher expectations than Trevor Lawrence, at least from what I've seen. Like I feel like people are willing to give Trevor Lawrence some leeway in year 1. and they don't want to be boring, and he's on the Jaguars. So I don't know, but I've got Titans winning that division, and then I go back and forth on the Colts and Jaguars. I feel like they're both going to be miss the playoffs. Both Colts and Jaguars miss the playoffs, in my opinion. And then I got the Texans in last. I think I got the Colts above the Jaguars.
Are there any teams that you think will either have a better or worse record than we anticipate?
Well, it depends on what you mean by what we anticipate, because the Texans under
the
over
the consensus.
The Texans under over is 4.5 wins. And I know it seems like really basic to say that the team with the least or the lowest under over is going to be under, because like they're the worst expected team, but I really like the under for the Texans. Even if they do a little bit better than I think, I still think they go under 4, but maybe that's me overreacting to the roster.
No, I think
the Jaguars could. I don't know if I can, in good faith, predict the Jaguars to improve from the worst team in the league to like a 10-win team. Like, I like the Jaguars a lot, and maybe they could. I don't know if I'll predict it, but I do really like that Jaguars team with Lawrence, and I think that they've got a good wide receiving core and good running backs, a good stable of running backs, and I think their offensive line is decent. You know, maybe their young secondary takes a step. You know, maybe Josh Allen and Chason take another step forward, and they have a pretty good. I feel like if there's any team that goes from like worst to first, it's the Jaguars. I don't know if I'll predict it. I know I kind of did in earlier episodes, but I think the Jaguars have a good chance to surprise, even though I don't think it's the most likely outcome. I think that if there's a team that does, it's them.
Yeah, no, I think they did make a lot of improvements. I don't love everything they did, but no, they're definitely in a very good position, especially with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. I kind of feel like a lot of people think the Colts, you know, we keep coming back to Carson Wentz. I think a lot of people think the Colts are going to like have this resurgence and be kind of one of the top teams in the AFC. And they're obviously good, but I think they could definitely be one of those teams to underperform and maybe even be under 500. I don't know how much I love that offense.
I mean, I don't know. I would agree. Their weapons aren't anything crazy.
Well, Theo, you already said that you think the Titans are going to win this division. I'm going to have to agree with you on that. Matt, who do you think?
It's definitely not anything for sure, but I'm not picking against A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, so Titans.
That is fair. And Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill still
and some other decent players, yeah.
And a good offensive line.
They've got a stacked offense, they do.
Yeah, I think it would be stupid not to pick them. But moving on to the AFC West, Kansas City, Vegas now, the Vegas Raiders, the Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. Which offensive player in this division do you think can surprise people? I already know Theo's answer. Matt, I want you to answer this one first.
The offensive player that I think has the potential to surprise people is probably Justin Herbert.
No.
Everyone
he's right.
Thinks
he's going to be an MVP.
I know where Matt's going with this. Yeah, I know where
Justin
Matt's going
Herbert
with this.
is not a lock to get that much better. He isn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a it's a big ask. I'm not saying that Herbert isn't great or won't become great, but every time a rookie does really well, everybody assumes that they're always going to get better every single time, and that doesn't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen for Herbert, but I want to see the improvement before I assume it's going to happen, if that makes sense. Like if he gets way better from year 1 to 2, then maybe I'll expect him to get a little bit better from year 2 to 3. But there's a difference between coming in the league and being really good and then coming in the league, being good, and getting better.
Yeah. No,
and like winning Herbert, MVP, which are...
winning MVP is ridiculous. Justin Herbert regression season is almost a guarantee.
I'm not going that far. I don't think it's a guarantee. I just think that it's also not a guarantee he gets better.
Historical data suggests that he will likely regress.
I feel like Justin Herbert is a guy who had such a great rookie year, and I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think that he is very much like 9th, 10th already as a rookie, as a quarterback. But I think Lamar and Mahomes screwed up people's brains, and they think the second year is when guys take the jump, and normally it's not. Dak went down, and then he went back up. Baker Mayfield went down, and now he seems like he's going back up. You know, I'm sure there are many more examples of a little bit of a down before going back up, and I feel like Herbert, I've said it before. I think the Chargers are overrated, and I think this Herbert MVP jump, I think he can be maybe a little better or the same or a little worse or in that vicinity. I think this jump into being like a guaranteed top 5 quarterback is over.
Yeah, it's like Herbert could be a future Hall of Famer and still get a little bit worse this next season.
Yeah.
And if he did get a little bit worse, I think that there would be a lot of people who would be stunned.
And here's the thing, going back to like Lamar and Mahomes, people forget that like they didn't play a lot their rookie year. So their second season was basically their rookie year. And then what happened the following season? And their second full season, there was regression, right? And you can chalk that up to Mahomes, maybe to injury. You can, chalk Lamar's up to whatever you want, but there was regression. And ironically enough, the teams actually ended up doing better. So I would go as far as to say I think Herbert could actually regress and the Chargers still improve a little bit.
Theo, who do you have picked for your surprise player from this division?
It's going to be someone on the Broncos, guys. It's going to be someone, I don't know if it'll be Drew Lock. Maybe it'll be Cortland Sutton, who comes back and entrenches himself as a top 10 wide receiver and makes Drew Lock look competent. Maybe it's Drew Lock himself who eliminates the dumb throws from his... But it's going to be maybe it's Noah Fant who kind of takes a jump into that.
I like Fant,
I like Fant too. I think Fant could be someone who's regarded as a elite tight end. Maybe I think it's going to be someone on that Broncos off. Maybe it's Williams, their rookie running back. I don't know. I feel like someone on that Broncos offense is going to take some sort of jump. Maybe it's Tim Patrick, who is criminally underrated from last year, who is like the main guy or above Judy. Maybe it's Judy. There's so many guys on that Broncos offense where I think could take a step forward. And I mean, I think the Broncos have the best defense. I've talked way too much about the Broncos, but honestly, I kind of think when I was looking at the schedules, I was looking at week 17 Broncos versus Chiefs or week 18 now. And I kind of think that might be for the division. And if you look at the schedules, I think that game will decide who wins that division. Because I think the Broncos are going to have the best defense in the league, and the quarterbacks they're playing are Daniel Jones to start, Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Lamar, and then there's a stretch of Big Ben, Derek Carr, Baker, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
This is what I was trying to.
They could be 6-2. They could be 6-2. The best, if they have the best defense in the league, which is kind of what I'm banking on because it's stacked. They could be. All of those quarterbacks will have trouble with that. Then you got Dak, who's might be able to beat that. Hurts, Herbert, and then Mahomes. So maybe they go like 2-2 there. And then they've got Goff, Burrow, Carr, and then Herbert again. And then they got Mahomes to end it.
If Carr has a rough offensive line, that's going to be tough for him. That's going to be real tough.
No, there's a lot of quarterbacks who can lose games against the best defense in the league. And I feel like their secondary is absolutely stacked. Chubb and Von Miller coming from the edges. Decent linebackers and Shelby Harris and they've got a good interior.
If you're going to
literally, I think
Theo, if you're going to predict that week 18 game to be for the division, then your breakout player has to be Drew Lock because that's the X factor.
Sure.
If Drew Lock goes out next year and is horrible, all of that is for nothing.
Well, he had his rookie year. They were 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, something in that range with him. Like I know he can guide his team to wins if the supporting cast is good and is kind of carrying.
I agree that he is talent. Don't get me wrong.
And then you look at the Chiefs. You look at the Chiefs, and then outside of their division, these are some of the teams they're playing outside of their division. They've got the Browns, the Ravens, the Bills, the Titans, the Packers, and then they got Washington and Pittsburgh, who might have very good defenses. They made the playoffs last year, except I really think the Chiefs are a pretty safe bet to beat them. And the Chiefs have historically struggled in games against their division. In their division, they have not played super well again in interdivision. Yeah. So that could be. I can see 6 losses for the Broncos. I can see 6 losses for the Chiefs, and then they come into that Week 18 game. I think that's for the division. That's maybe my hottest take about the AFC.
The one problem that I have with the Broncos is with Von Miller. I don't think it's a guarantee that he comes back and he's the same guy that he was. He's older, coming off his worst season and then an injury season, and now he's coming back. I'm not saying he won't because Von Miller is great. But
Yeah.
But that does seem like a recipe for a guy to fall off.
That's true, but they were still top 10 in sacks last year without him.
They were still great.
So I can't remember the name. Reed, I think, out of Nevada, they have a guy I think named Malik Reed. I want to say, and he was pretty good last year. And he was pretty good. So like, if Vaughn just comes in and is washed, I think they still like have a pretty good pass rush. And if Vaughn comes in and is anything like normal Vaughn, then they're going to be in really good shape.
We are moving incredibly slow. Got to keep pushing through.
We haven't talked about the Raiders. One sec. I think
we have talked about Denver for, I think, majority
of No. I don't want to hear. We have talked about Denver.
Theo has talked about Denver.
I'll shut up.
I'll
shut up. You guys.
Well, it's funny because the player that I was going to choose is also a Denver player because I think Javonte Williams is a dark horse for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that guy can run. I think he's very J.K. Dobbins-esque, immaculate balance, can run through tackles. That dude is
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, also Nick Chubb-esque, like just awesome. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into Chubb.
I don't know if he has the that second. What makes Nick Chubb amazing is he's like Javonte Williams, but he's got that second gear.
Gear. Yeah, Javonte Williams doesn't quite have that second gear, and that's why I compared him more to Dobbins than Chubb, because Chubb obviously has that second gear. I don't know if Dobbins really does.
I think he does.
Maybe I haven't seen it much. I know Theo, you've watched a lot of Dobbins, but I don't think anyone has that gear the way
Dobbins
Chubb does.
Dobbins doesn't have the second gear like Nick Chubb has. He can still break off those long runs, but he doesn't have a second. That's what makes Nick Chubb so special. Because I mean, he ran crazy,
Nick Chubb
crazy great and track and high school and stuff like that. I like Williams. They've still got Gordon in that backfield, and I think that might split the touches just a little bit too much for him to rack up the numbers you'd need as a running back.
That's fair.
To be rookie or offensive rookie of the year.
Williams' vision is also not super, super, super great. My Carter, the other guy, had better vision than he did in that backfield, but he's just such a tank that like it almost doesn't matter. So,
but
right, so that's But we got to talk about the Raiders. I can't completely shun the Raiders here, but I think Waller is going to absolutely dominate. He's my offensive player of the year pick. Yeah. I think he's going to have like some ridiculous amount of targets and yards, but I just don't see that roster being like good enough to compete. It's a very questionable roster.
Their defense wasn't exactly great last year. Their offensive line got a lot worse. But speaking of defenses, I guess I shouldn't even ask this. Theo already said the Broncos are going to have the best defense in the NFL. Matt, do you think any defense in the West could be better than the Broncos?
I like the Broncos. Looks the best on paper. They were good last year, and they added a bunch. I'm not going to pick against that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess that brings us around to the question of which QB will disappoint, which I guess Matt already answered that for us.
I think also Derek Carr with a worse offensive line might not be put in a great position to succeed. He also doesn't have.
We've talked a lot about the
well-rounded weapons.
I think having a lot of quarterbacks in questionable positions to succeed.
I like Carr, but there's some things about that position that he's in that makes me nervous for him.
Yeah.
I mean, the most likely quarterback, the way I've been talking about him, is probably Lock to disappoint because I've been talking about him like he's insane.
Lock for MVP.
I don't think so. Lock for MVP. No, I don't know. I feel like I might go with Herbert just because the expectations are so sky high. Is the quarterback who might disappoint a little bit, but Carr. I don't even think the Raiders' offensive line is horrible, but I think it's still okay. But the wide receivers. The wide receivers are just not that good, and I think Waller is a beast. But like,
who's a quarterback who might disappoint?
You need some reliable.
If he gets in the game, Teddy Bridgewater might be a guy.
Oh, they do have Teddy.
Everybody. I'm not going to talk anymore about Teddy. I just wanted to be funny about it because he played for the Panthers last year. But, and I honestly don't even agree with that because I think he'll just be a solid backup to Drew Lock for the year.
So you just wanted to say it just to say it?
Yeah, because cut that out. I can't be a jerk to Teddy like that.
No,
the more I talk about it, the worse I feel about it. He's really not a bad guy.
I loved Teddy coming out of college. I really did. And I saw a poll on Instagram the other day where it was like, who was better in college between Teddy Bridgewater and Lamar, and it was like 90-10, like a 9-10 ratio in favor of Lamar, like or 90%.
Well, he was.
Yeah.
He won the Heisman.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just remember watching Bridgewater in college and being like, this guy can throw. Like he had such a cannon. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He could put some zip.
I was too young.
How old were you
watching
I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater in college?
I think 13.
He came out in 2014.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, man.
13.
I have not watched a ton of Teddy Bridgewater.
I watched Teddy Bridgewater closely. I loved Teddy Bridgewater. I almost got a Louisville Teddy Bridgewater jersey. I was obsessed with that guy. I watched every game.
Weird.
It is weird, but I thought he was going to be.
We got the biggest Teddy Bridgewater fan and the biggest Teddy Bridgewater hater.
I wanted the Browns to take him so bad. But moving on, because we've spent a lot of time on the West, we'll quickly hit. Who do you guys think will overachieve? Who do you think will underachieve in the division? And then obviously, who do you think is going to win it?
I mean, I think. I'm going to say the Broncos. I don't care. Someone coming to my house and kill me if I'm wrong. I don't care. I'm going to say the Broncos win the division. I've gone this far.
Theo,
that week 18 will be for the division and the Broncos. If I'm going to predict that, I might as well predict them to win. So screw it. I'm predicting the Broncos to win the division. I don't care.
Fair. I'm going to take the Chiefs still. I think the Broncos will probably do better than people anticipate. But I'm still going to pick the Chiefs to win the division.
I have the Chiefs.
and then I guess the only other thing would be I think the Raiders will probably take a step back. Well, moving on to the AFC East with the Bills, Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins. I like this division a lot. I think there's a lot to talk about here. Which offensive player do you guys think could surprise people?
I might go with Preston. Devontae will, but not Preston Smith. That's a Packers. What's his?
Devontae Parker.
Never mind. Yes, Devontae Parker. I can't even remember his name. That's how underrated he is.
I can never remember his name either.
No, don't. I feel like Dolphins fans kind of threw him under the bus last year because they wanted to make excuses for Tua. I think they were like, Tua has no weapons. Tua can't do this. Tua can do this. His wide receivers drop everything. When in reality, Parker is quite a good wide receiver and Gesicki is quite a good tight end.
Yeah.
I think that Parker is a guy that, especially with the best wide receiving cores have a speed guy on one side and a possession guy on the other. That's the best way to build a wide receiving duo. And now he's got the speed guy on the other on one end to stretch the field. And I think Devontae Parker is a guy
Will Fuller and Waddle.
Who's really going to be and Will Fuller and Waddle. And then I feel like Parker is going to kind of eat when the top is taken off the defense. They really have
dude. I'm telling you, it's crazy how stacked
Waddle,
they are.
Parker.
One thing that Tua said, the Dolphins fans want to give the excuse they had no receivers. Tua said he did not feel comfortable throwing into tight windows. Like that was like the biggest.
He said he didn't know the playbook.
It's just like I remember he had that conversation with Fitzpatrick on the sideline where Fitzpatrick's like, sometimes you just got to trust that your receiver has that step. But, again, we go back to at Alabama, he didn't have to see that because he had receivers that were like standing 10 yards wide open.
Maybe that's just an adjustment that Tua needs to make, where it's just I'm going to throw into coverage. I'm going to make some mistakes to try to make some big plays because with the receivers that he has now, if he can't trust these guys, he's not trusting anybody. Nothing's going to be as...
It's like the perfect wide receiving core. It's like built so well. They've got the possession guy in Parker. Then they got a speed guy in Fuller. You can throw Waddle in the slot with an elite tight end.
Not to mention he played with Waddle in college. He has a guy
he gets
that
his own college
trusts.
guy. You couldn't get more than this, really.
You couldn't make this in a lab.
He's just got to trust himself.
It's like, I like Parker, though. That's a really good pick. I kind of think Cam Newton surprises people. I feel like I maybe took Matt's.
Yeah.
So maybe I should let Matt talk about Cam Newton. Is that who you were going to say?
Of course. It'd be off brand for me to say anybody else. I mean, at this point, I'm so deep into the Cam Newton is going to be awesome next year. Like, I don't know, propaganda that I have to keep pushing it. I just, his situation's got a lot better. He has a full off season. Hopefully COVID doesn't, like it bothered him last season a little bit, I think. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year. And I think the offense is a little bit better built for him. So I'm a little worried that maybe the Patriots are going to go Mac Jones quicker than they should. But I think Cam Newton comes out and plays some really solid football and does some Cam Newton stuff where the offense or the opposing defenses are going to have to worry about things that they don't usually have to worry about with other quarterbacks.
That's pretty much exactly what I would have said. Yeah, I mean, Cam Newton is in a much better situation.
And I'm a big fan of Damian Harris, too. They're going to have a really big run.
So good.
They're going to have a big run-heavy attack with a great offensive line and a quarterback who draws a lot of defensive attention away on those, like, where he'll fake and go one way and it'll actually go to Harris. He could have a really nice
with two really good tight ends.
He could have a really nice season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like that the way that offense kind of improved a lot. And their offensive line is really, really good.
It's really good.
I'm going to, again, go in the other direction. I think Denzel Mims is going to be a lot worse than people think he will be. People are bringing up like Denzel Mims being like a top 15 wide receiver next year, and I'm like, out of what? Like where is this coming? Like the idea
where
that
are you
Denzel
finding these people? I've never.
Where is this James? Where are these James Robinson hype?
Are you?
Where message boards are you looking at where people think Denzel Mims and James Robinson are
have
like
you seen
the cream of the crop
I made
players.
A video. Remember when we were talking about Zach Wilson and how we don't think he's really going to be all that great in the NFL? And people were like, well, he has Denzel Mims. And I'm like,
That's true,
is Denzel Mims a number one wide receiver?
He will
is
be
he
soon,
better
man.
than...
Trust.
I'm not sold on
It's me.
Denzel
I'm the
Mims.
person hyping up Denzel Mims to Bladen. I do like him. I think he has a really good skill set. I thought he had showed some flashes last year. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 15 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, maybe that's an exaggeration. I'm just saying people.
That's like DK Metcalf like range. That's like he's going to be like.
People are acting like he's going to be this like great number one receiver, and I don't think the Jets have that. I really don't. I like Denzel
I don't think
Mims.
the receivers are
really
as
like
bad
Elijah
as
Moore.
you think they are. I thought
I'm not
Corey
making
Davis
up. I
played
don't
well
think
last
they're
year.
bad. I just think they have a bunch of number 2 and number 3s. That's like
maybe
reasonably.
a little bit, but they're also super young. Mims is in his second year. Moore is going to be in his first year. I think they'll have pretty solid receivers next season.
Yeah,
Solid, I'm not sure if they'll have like the dominant. I don't know if they'll have a dominant X wide receiver to like line up on the boundaries and just win. I mean, maybe Corey Davis can do that. Like he was pretty good last year, and they got Elijah Moore. He also had
AJ Brown to help him out there as well.
Yeah, so maybe it won't be, but I think they've got a good wide receiving core. It's very deep. And then there's the Bills, who might be the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. Like I think, I think they might have the best. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders is a guy that could have a really nice season for them as their kind of wide receiver too. He's there that people kind of forgot about. And then Diggs, and then Gabe Davis is a really nice player, like a really deep wide receiving core, decent offensive line. Josh Allen has the arm talent to get it anywhere on the field. They're kind of running it back with the same team they did last year, and they were really impressive last year. So I think the Bills are just kind of gonna.
Yeah.
I think
the Bills are in a really good spot. The only thing I would
concern
concern about is whether or not Josh Allen takes a step back. Just because repeating an MVP caliber season is really hard to do.
Well, is he going to be a worse player, or is he just going to put up like slightly worse numbers? Because that type of stuff.
Yeah, happens. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he'll just be like a worse player, but there will likely be some regression, mostly because his jump from year 2 to year 3 was so unprecedented. I find it hard to believe that everything that he did in year 3 sticks.
I don't know. I like. I
have a weird feeling he's not going to regress. I know that's a dumb take and like not the one I should have, but I just think that he's not going to do it.
That's how I feel.
I mean that's fair. He looked awesome.
Yeah, he's one of the. He's so ridiculously talented. I love him so much. This team is built a lot like how the Panthers were built when they were really good, like 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm super biased towards them. They also have a ridiculous amount of Panthers players, but their defensive line rotation is kind of super deep. And they've got 2 first-round draft picks who haven't really broken out. I mean, I guess they just drafted one, but then his name is slipping me. AJ.
Not
Gregory Rousseau.
No, not Rousseau. The other guy out of Iowa.
Espinoza, something like that.
So
I know it starts with an E.
And then they get Star Latule back. Vernon Butler's been playing really well for them. They've got Hughes. They've got Mario Addison, Ed Oliver. I like a lot of what's on their defense. So I believe in the Bills a lot.
So do you think that could be an elite defense in the East?
I don't know if it'll be elite, but I think it'll be very, very good. I guess that's kind of a fine line. I think they'll have a very good defense, and I think they have an MVP candidate at quarterback with really good receivers.
That's fair. I think if any defense would be elite in that division, it would probably be the Patriots.
I agree.
Well, I think we need
Dolphins might be.
The Dolphins are good, but I don't think the Dolphins are as talented, and they relied on a very good scheme last year, and I wonder if that's going to hurt them a little bit more this year.
I don't know. It's Belichick's scheme, and he's always done pretty well with it.
But it's not Belichick running it. It's Brian Flores, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about
I Flores agree
is
with
a G,
you,
though. So
that Patriots defense, I think getting Hightower back is huge for them. I think that's a big get. I thought their linebacker play, from what I saw, was really rough and killed them, and a lot of just dumb plays where it's like, there's a lot of guys in the league who could have made the plays that they just weren't able to last season. Hightower's super high-level linebacker. And I know that linebacker might not be the most, like a middle linebacker, might not be the most important position on the defense or anything, but I think it can make a huge difference.
Analytics would say that it's not, but you still want to be good at every position. You don't want to just be like, you know what? If we, you don't want to just be bad. You know what? Screw you, man.
No, screw it. Hightower. If analytics doesn't say Hightower is crucial to that defense,
they're lying. I swear.
It's wrong on that front.
I love Hightower.
I love
and it just seems like a very deep defense. I think they've got a lot of guys who are going to be able to. That's how Belichick teams typically are with the defensive line rotations and whatnot. His name is slipping me. Guy out of Michigan, pass rusher, second year. I really like him.
Winovich.
Yes, Winovich.
There's a different.
No, UCHE.
Yes.
He's really good.
They've got multiple Michigan pass rushers.
Winovich is Raiders, isn't he?
No, Winovich is. I think he's third year.
I don't know. The Raiders have some guy
Regardless.
who's like also kind of underrated. But
I really liked him.
Hurst, but he got cut.
I really like him coming out of college, and I think he might take a big step this year.
Yeah, well, I think we need to start rapid firing these. We still got to get through the AFC North. So let's move on to which QB we think will disappoint really quickly. Theo, who do you got?
I got, Zach Wilson and Tua are the two guys that I've been slandering this whole time, and I think both of them are not great. And I feel like Tua might be especially disappointing considering his stacked wide receiving core that we've already mentioned.
I have to agree with Tua. I still always go back to his pro day where he was just like in like a 20-yard like mini field and like only threw like checkdowns and slants and like hitches where a receiver was like 5 yards away from him. And that I always wonder like why, when you have the best opportunity to show everything you can do as a player, did you choose to do that? I would have almost rather you have not done a pro day.
I think it's funny. We all have these things that we keep coming back to on the podcast. Like, I know I've mentioned certain things like 5 or 6 times, and Tua's pro day has come up at least 4 separate times.
It was a weird pro day. It is your opportunity to show the very best you can do, and you did that?
I don't know. I think my expectations for a second-year quarterback with crazy good weapons would be really high. But I think that if Tua has even solid improvement, which you'd have to expect them to have, right, with the guys that he's got now, and more time and maybe more time to heal from that injury, I think he'll be not crazy good, but improve, and people will be happy with that. So maybe my pick would be Wilson.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I think we're all kind of in that Tua Wilson category. But moving on to which teams do you think will do better than anticipated? Which teams which teams will do worse than anticipated? And who will win that division? I think we're all kind of leaning Bills to win the division here.
Oh yeah.
But I think the Patriots could really surprise people and make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I got the Patriots as my 7th seed in the playoffs. I think they'll make it in a wild card. So, yeah.
I agree.
And then the Dolphins are kind of on the outside looking in, even though I think there's a lot of talent on that roster.
They've got a lot of players on that team.
So Dolphins fans like to think that they can make a push for the playoffs because they were a 10-win team last year and they were like just on the outside.
And they can. They're not wrong thinking that.
Yeah, it's like they have an easy schedule. I just don't love their odds, if I'm being totally honest. I don't love their roster.
Yeah,
it's mostly I don't love Tua.
They're not wrong.
I don't love Tua. That's really what it comes down to.
All right, we got to move on.
Yes, we got to move on. Moving to the AFC North with my Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Cincinnati Bengals. So which offensive player here do you think will surprise people?
I got Deontay Johnson of the Steelers. I think he's the best wide receiver in that core. I think that people overrate drops massively, and because his hands are so unreliable, people just think he sucks. And it does suck that he drops so many passes, but really good route runner, really good after the catch. I think that he's the most electric and the most talented wide receiver in that trio. And I think that he will kind of show that this year. I think that all will be revealed.
That's kind of similar to Judy. I like that pick a lot. If I had to pick a player to surprise, I know a lot of people are saying Odell could be comeback player of the year, so I'm not going to pick Odell. I think that not Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think he could kind of break out for the Browns a little bit. The Browns have like a lot of interesting number 3 receivers that could like be really good. And they have for a couple years now, but I think Donovan Peoples-Jones could really, break out this year for Cleveland. I still love Rashard Higgins, but I'm kind of banking on Peoples-Jones going crazy.
I think there are too many wide receivers there. I'd say a tight end, maybe Njoku.
They have a lot of guys, but like when I say
pick.
Breakout, I'm talking like yards per target might be higher, that kind of stuff. Like advanced analytics more so than like just 1,000.
I don't know if he's even the 4th receiver on that team right now. There's a very good possibility he starts.
If
the
you
season
include
as
tight ends,
5.
probably not.
If I'm including tight ends, then he's definitely not the 4th receiver.
But then they picked Anthony Schwartz, that Auburn guy in the third round,
and they brought back Higgins. And I think we both like Higgins more than Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I love Higgins.
We're high on Higgins. I won't lie. So
Higgins
I don't know. He might be like the
I need to get a Higgins
6th
jersey.
or 7th option on that team passing wise, and that's not even counting running backs. He's talented. He's a very good special teams player.
When Odell went down, Jones did step up, and I think he stepped up in a big way. And if that kind of happens again, where Odell maybe isn't that offensive player of the year or that comeback player of the year, I think they could, turn to Jones again.
I don't know. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones had 77 yards last season, man.
Nah, man. He stepped up against the Titans, and he stepped up on special teams.
Man.
Do you remember the game against the Titans? He had a great game against the Titans.
Did he?
Is that where the 77 yards came from? He had most of that in one catch.
He had 18 targets for 77 yards. I'm not trying I genuinely think he's a talented guy.
I think he's talented. I think he can have a bit of a maybe not a breakout season, but I think he
watch him get cut after the preseason.
Okay, I'm lying. He had 300. It showed me something wrong.
I was going to say 77 seems like
it seemed low to me too. All right, my fault. Regardless, he had some good games, no doubt. But I think that my assumption would be if the Browns really loved Peoples-Jones like that, I don't know if they would have drafted a guy in the 3rd round and brought back Higgins.
I do like Anthony Schwartz.
That does kind of push Peoples-Jones.
They have a lot of weapons,
but he was the number 1 receiver recruit for a reason in his class. Yeah. So I agree.
Who's your guy? Who's your guy, Matt?
My guy?
Do you have one?
I don't know if I have someone that I love a bunch. I think Claypool's super good. I think he might be better than Johnson, honestly. And I think the consensus stay hot guy who's going to break out next year, which I guess maybe isn't even a surprise, would be J.K. Dobbins. But we've already talked him to death, so I don't really have anything to say about that other than I like him a lot.
Right.
Yeah. No,
how about this for a disappointing guy is going to be Baker Mayfield, most overrated player in the league right now. I've decided. I think that he built his his hype off of a stretch of games against Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Tennessee. Then the Baltimore shootout happened, and I don't even remember him playing particularly well in that game. Then they played the Giants, and then he lost.
You don't think he played well? And then he
lost to the Jets.
Hold on, Theo. Did you just say you don't remember Baker playing well against the Ravens on that primetime game?
In that shootout? No, I don't. I don't remember him playing that well. I remember him throwing some bad picks. I remember him completing sub 60% of his passes and attempting like 50 of them. I don't remember him playing super well in that game.
Maybe if you want to, there were stretches where he didn't look great early on, but the fourth quarter, he was on.
That's a game. That's part of the game.
He was awesome the entire fourth quarter.
Maybe if he was more awesome in the beginning, they wouldn't have lost that game.
Maybe.
I think that Baker was playing some very easy teams and was the most protected quarterback in the league last year.
I don't disagree. He was in a great situation, but I don't think he just takes a step back.
What good team did the Browns beat last year?
We beat the Steelers.
They beat the Colts.
Beat the Steelers.
They beat the Steelers with Mason Rudolph. They got crushed by them when they were playing with
We beat them in the
Roethlisberger.
playoffs.
And then they beat them in the playoffs, but even then they got up to a crazy weird start, and then they let them come back. And
okay, but what do you want? What do you want him? Do you want him to go 50-0? You want him to just run up the score 50-0?
I mean,
I'm saying they got lucky. You always talk about regression. They got lucky in that game, and that is not like a normal game. They barely beat them with Mason Rudolph. They got crushed with them with Roethlisberger the first game, and then they went up with crazy circumstances and dropped passes to go up 28-0, and then they almost lost that game or it got close at the end. I think the Browns are one of the more, I wouldn't say they're overrated because that roster is really good, but I think Baker's not all that, and I feel like the Ravens win that division. I still think the Browns win maybe 10 games or so, though.
10? Oh, my God. I might have to block you after this, but
I'm sorry.
No, I don't know. You're probably, if there was a quarterback in the AFC North to disappoint, it would probably be Baker. It probably would be, because Roethlisberger is already expected to not be good. Lamar's expected to improve. Maybe Joe Burrow, but a lot of people expect Joe Burrow to come back and be pretty good. And I think, compared, coming back from an injury, you can't expect a whole lot, but I think he'll be fine. I don't know.
Baker has higher expectations than Burrow does.
I agree. So if there were a quarterback to take a step back, it would probably be Baker. Or to not meet expectations, it would be Baker. I'd agree with that. But if you had to pick a defense in this division to be elite, I was like, what do we want to say other than the Steelers? Right? Is there any team that you could, maybe Baltimore? Maybe
I don't know
Browns?
about the Ravens front seven, but they really do have a really good secondary. So I don't know.
Kind of the same thing with the Browns. It's kind of the same thing with the Browns.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would still pick Pittsburgh. I think their defense is pretty ludicrous. It was last year, and I don't think they lost a whole lot to where I'm like, yeah, that defense is not going to be top 10. I still think it'll be pretty damn good. Matt, do you
really good division all the way around? I got the Ravens winning it. I got the Ravens winning this division. How about you guys?
Yeah, I've got the Ravens winning it too. I know they lost both their big pass rushers, but was their pass rush success percentage that high last season? I don't remember it being.
It was okay.
I remember. Yeah. I know they blitzed
they still got Calais Campbell,
didn't they? And I love Calais Campbell. I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah.
I think what they added to their offense is huge. Even if you don't love guys like Sammy Watkins, just stretching the field is going to make a big difference for them.
Just making Hollywood Brown not the number one receiver is
it's going to do a lot for them, hopefully. And I think Lamar Jackson probably plays a little bit closer to his MVP season than he did last year. So. I like the Ravens as well. But I don't hate the Browns maybe as much as Theo does, but I will admit they've got some tough games on their schedule.
The entire AFC North has a very tough schedule. Not to mention they play each other. I'm still going to lean the Browns to win it. I think I've given the Browns 12, 13 wins, and I've seen some people give them even more than that. I won't go that far. I have a little bit of ration in my brain. But
I think that Baker, I agree. While I agree that Baker's problems were that maybe he is in a little bit of a good position and that's why he's playing so well. It's not like he's not going to be in a good position this year, too.
Exactly.
True.
So I think he'll still play pretty well, though. You might be right. He's not. I wouldn't call him elite with what they're asking him to do.
He's in the same category as Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. Matt Ryan, Ryan Tant, all those guys that if they're in a great situation, they will play well. But otherwise, I wouldn't expect much from them.
You have the Browns with 13 wins. Do you think they're the 1 seed in the AFC? You have them winning it?
I want to pick them to win it. I really do. I still find it hard to believe that the Chiefs aren't in that conversation as well. I think I'm going to lean the Chiefs, but I think it'll be close. I think Browns and Chiefs are going to be kind of close for 1-2.
I think I'm going Bills in an upset a little bit. Maybe not an upset since they're our 1 seed, but I think the Bills might get it done and get to the Super Bowl.
We've agreed on too much, so I'll say the Ravens. I think the Ravens are the 1 seed. I think that.
Wait. Hold on. Are we gonna ignore that Matt just said the Bills get to the Super Bowl?
Isn't that what winning the AFC
really good.
is?
I thought you just meant like being the 1 seed going into the playoffs.
Go to the Super Bowl is what I said. That's winning. Yeah, that is winning the AFC. If they're the 1 seed,
Yeah.
so you think?
I said Ravens
hold on.
versus.
You think they're the 1 seed, but it's unreasonable to expect them to make the Super Bowl?
No, I'm just saying that like. I don't know. I just feel like when I say I think those are two different things.
They're two different things, but like making this, I don't think that's like an insane prediction or anything.
I think winning the AFC and getting out of the AFC are different. But I would.
I've got the Ravens.
If we're gonna pick Super Bowl bets, I want the Browns. If we want Super Bowl bets, give me the Browns.
Nobody considers winning the AFC being the 1 seed. Who was the AFC winner last year?
That's what I was thinking.
No. Winning the AFC means you get to the Super Bowl.
That's getting
AFC.
Out of the AFC.
No, that's winning. Okay, then why is it the? No, it's not. That's winning the AFC because you get the championship.
We can debate on this all day long. It's not a debate.
No.
How about this? The Ravens for both. Matt's going to say the Browns for both. Not Matt. Bladen is going to say the Browns for both. I know he said the Chiefs, but I'm vetoing him. I'm changing his own prediction. He's got the Browns, and then Matt has got the Bills.
All right.
Perfect. This has been our longest episode yet.
This has been a 7-hour episode of Stay Hot. Thank you all for tuning in. You asked for this. You asked for the ultra long Stay Hot episode. Here it is. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you do all the great things that you've been doing, commenting, liking, subscribing, reviewing, all those great things. And until next time, guys, we will catch you on the flippity flop.